Hey guys, I just wanted to show you how I apply those fauxligraphy techniques that I showed you in that recent video. And so I was just going to show you a quick little wood plank sign that I'm going to make. I've already painted it in this fun rose gold color, just a cute little heart. This is what I used, metallic, rose gold, and just regular old paintbrush. I did that earlier so that it was nice and dry. And then we are going to use just chalk, and this would be one of my very favorite paint pens to write on wooden signs with. It's going to be water-based, so acrylic type of a paint pen, but on a wood sign it's pretty much permanent and it flows smoother than any I have ever gotten. This size that I'm going to be using is this 1.8 to 2.5 millimeter. If I'm doing a smaller sign, I would go down in the nib width just a little bit, but this is just kind of a basic size. I buy them in bulk on Amazon, but I've found them in Joann's and a few other places as well. You can just get a single color or white and black with a whole bunch of colors mixed together. So here we go. A lot of the times I will just freehand my pieces, especially if they're this small. So if I was just doing this at home without videoing for you guys, I would just freehand, especially if it was one word. If it included block letters, I might get a ruler to make the block letters really nice. But this small of a sign, I personally would typically freehand. But if you're not to that level yet or don't feel comfortable and don't want to mess up your sign, just starting with chalk is perfectly fine. I do that often as well. And I was just going to show you, in case you didn't know, I like to either break my chalk in half and use this gritty piece to write on it a little bit better. Or you can actually sharpen chalk just with a regular pencil sharpener. And I was so amazed when I found this out. I don't know why I found it so amazing, but then you can get really nice lines, especially if you're doing a really big piece. This helps. And then you've got this nice sharpened chalk, and it's amazing. So just a regular old pencil sharpener, and I sharpened this. This was just Crayola chalk, just from Walmart. So I'm gonna brush these away, and tonight I'm just gonna do one word. So I am going to do forever. I'm working on some wedding pieces, and I'm gonna sketch that on there. Now I'm not sketching it very thick or very heavy because I don't want the chalk to like scratch the wood or, so I'm trying to kind of make this entrance match that exit a little bit better. I don't want the chalk to scratch the wood or leave a lot of dust so that when I take my paint pen over it, it picks up those chalk particles. If it's really chalky, I just kind of brush that layer off so it's just really faint that I can see it. That way it's not going to gunk up this paint pen and stop it from flowing. So if you've never used a paint pen, when you first get them, the nib will be blank and you have to prime it. So I always have a scratch paper nearby, and you just pump the end a few times. This one's already been opened. And then I like to just kind of scribble it out and make sure it's flowing. I don't know if you can see that, but I have problems with the white Sharpie pens, and I find those recommended a lot. So I never recommend the white Sharpies. I absolutely dislike them, especially on wood signs. I do use them on glass, is about the only place. Okay, so I've primed my pen. You might give it a little shake if it's not flowing really great. And then as I go throughout my word, I'm probably gonna prime it just a couple more times, maybe every 3 or 4 letters. So now I am just going to trace over this. And if you watched that recent video, right now we are doing monoline lettering because it is all one thickness. So I'm gonna let this dry for just a second, and I have this problem that I always get impatient, but you can see that it's still shiny there in the middle. And so I'm gonna wait until all that shine goes away and I know it's completely dry, and then we're gonna go back and do our fauxligraphy. Okay, I waited about 2 minutes for that to dry, and I can see that it's dry because there's no shiny places where it would be wet. One thing to note is that I don't usually seal my wood, so it dries pretty quickly. A lot of people I've connected with will seal their wood because sometimes it's really rough and helps the paint pen right over it. But if you sand it nicely and stain it, I just don't have a problem without adding that sealant. So now we're gonna go back and add the thickness. Now, so this is one nib, you know, 1 nib wide. I like to make my shading maybe 2 to 3. So 1, 2, about 2-ish lines wide. So I'm going to thicken all of the downstrokes. And I'm gonna fill it in as I go because I've learned that as the paint starts to dry, if I go back and fill it in, it just kind of picks it up and things get really tacky and messy. And so I'm gonna pump it again. And you can see how that came out really nice and juicy. Okay, so you can see that it's not quite covering as well as I would like it to. I typically have to do 2 coats with the white. So I'm gonna go back over it and add a second coat. Oops, I just had a little drip as I was turning it. So I'm quickly gonna wipe that off. And then I will grab a baby wipe really quick. A damp paper towel would work as well, but since it's water-based, you just wanna get that off while it's wet. Sometimes you might use a Q-tip. But since I have 3 one-year-olds in my house, I have baby wipes handy all the time. Okay, so now I'm just gonna have to touch that up a little bit. And I'm gonna scribble it out also to make sure I don't have that drip problem again. Okay, now that I've got it how I want it, it is not completely dry, but I have this wipe handy, so I'm just going to wipe off chalk lines that are easily accessible. And when it dries really well, I'll go back over it with a final wipe, make sure that chalk's off. But so that I can show you guys, pretty easy. And if you're not quite sure, again, how I did that fauxligraphy technique or thickening that with the paint pen, you can go back and watch my fauxligraphy video. And of course, you can always shoot me a message and I'm happy to answer any questions you might have. And there you have it, a quick and easy DIY sign that I think is pretty cute. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next one.